Hi everyone, it's time to talk about chickens. So what I have right here in front of me, this is a Mary's chicken. This is a younger chicken. This is a chicken that is maybe 12, 14 weeks old. If you watched the Julia Child video, one of the things she was talking about was, is this part right here, is this hard or is this still soft? So on this one, it's still soft, which means that this is still kind of a younger chicken. So this is Mary's chicken. This is an air-cooled chicken, which is what I like. Some chickens, at the very end of the processing line, they go through, it's a bath. And it's a sanitizing bath, and it looks terrible. It's pink, and it foams, and all the chickens go into it. So this one, instead of going through that chilling bath with the bleach and stuff in it, the sanitizers, this chicken goes down the line and it's air cooled. It goes through a blast chiller. So it doesn't take a bath with all the other chickens. So this chicken, this is the fat. So again, if you were watching the Julia Child video, she likes to take this off, and I'll take this off as well. And you can, if you do a bunch of chickens and you're saving it, wow, my knife is dull, isn't it? And you're saving it, you can take all that fat, that chicken fat, and you render it down in a very heavy bottom pot, slowly, over a slow flame. And then after an hour or so, you'll render all the fat out of it. And we take that fat and we saute with it. And we do other things with it. So here's my chicken. My plan here is to cut this into an 8-way cut. So when I refer to an 8-way cut on your assignments, this is what I'm talking about. So I'm going to take the leg quarter off of both sides, and we'll split the leg quarter into the drumstick and the thigh. I'll take the wings off, separate those, and then I'll take the breast, and then I'll split the breast. So we'll have 2 legs, 2 thighs, 2 wings, and 2 breasts. And hopefully that adds up to 8. So that's what I'm talking about for an 8-way cut. That's a standard cut. So if you're gonna fry chicken, or you're gonna roast chicken, or you're gonna do some chicken fricassee, you wanna grill it, and you wanna leave it bone in, which I think is the best way to do it when you're cooking it. This is a standard 8-way cut. So the chicken is really, it's kind of upside down. This is the tail. Sometimes you'll hear Martha Stewart call that the parson's nose, but it's got a lot of fat. There's a lot of fat in and around the tail, and you can kind of see the fat, hopefully, running up the back. So this is the back, and this is where the thighs attach, right there. So when I take the thighs off, there's a little piece of meat, dark meat, right here, and there's one on each side, and we call that the oyster, and it's very tender, and it's very delicious. So when we take the leg off, we will try to save as much of that oyster as we can. So just off camera, I think I have 3 bowls, 1, 2, and 3. So in my first bowl is going to go the white meat, and that's the breast meat and the wings. My second bowl is going to have the dark meat, which is the legs and the thighs. And then the third bowl is going to be all my trim, and that's going to go in my stock pot. That's going to include the wing tips. There's a lot of collagen in the wing tips, and I'm going to show you how to separate out the back, and it's going to be the entire back. I'm also going to include in my stock the neck. So show you this really quick. Of course, when we buy chickens in the grocery store, we always get this bag, right? Inside this bag are the giblets. With the giblets is the neck. So I include the neck in when I make a stock. Everything else in there, I don't. So depending on what you're going to do, you can either save the giblets. My mother is very fond of the gizzard. Let's see, there it is. That's the liver right there. That makes a very nice pate. Oh, this one has more liver. What else do we have? And even more liver. So we got bonus livers in this one. Oh, even more liver. So this one was liver heavy. Oh, there's the heart. So there's the heart, a whole bunch of liver, and then the gizzard. So the gizzard is a part of the digestive tract. Chickens don't have teeth. So what happens is some things will go into the gizzard, and the gizzard will have little bits of fine sand or small pebbles, and it gets ground up inside the gizzard so the chicken can digest it. So that's our fun little bag of giblets. When I order chickens for this class, and when you order chickens as a chef commercially, you order what's called WOGs, and it's W-O-G. It's all in capital letters. And what that means is without giblets. I like to say, oh, I want, WOGs without guts. But, the practical term really is without giblets. So if you are a chef in a restaurant, you don't want all those giblets necessarily because it adds weight to the chicken and you're charged by the pound. So if you have no use for the giblets, you're going to order from your local chicken or meat purveyor fryers, whole fryers, WOGs, and you'll specify that so that they won't send it with all this stuff on the inside and charge you for it. All right, so to take this chicken apart, I literally learned to cut up chickens watching Julia Child on TV. And that's one of the reasons I like to post that video. It's not really cutting up a chicken. Think of it as disjointing a chicken. We are going to find where all these pieces join to the main carcass, and then we're going to separate them. So if you're in a spot and you're running into bone, you're not in the right spot, and you need to look. So I'm going to use this knife, even though this is a boning knife. This boning knife is really not very sharp. It's the only one I have here at home. My other one is at work. This is my everyday use knife at work. When I started as a chef many years ago, I was using a knife like this to cut up chickens. And I got very proficient at it because I was doing 20 or 30 a day. So that's not the best. This knife is still okay. This is a good knife for doing that with. So I always start at the wings. You don't have to start there. Everybody has kind of their personal preference. But what you want to do is you want to move the wing a little bit and note where you think the joint is. Now the joint is right there. So I'm going to cut just right there and expose the joint. I'm not going to try to cut all the way through the first time. See, I do that. And see, right here, that's the joint. And I hit it just right. So here's one end, here's the other end, and right here is a little cartilage that holds it on. And really all I do now is that. So it comes right off. So the wing, I don't keep the wing tips. And again, you want to disjoint that, so you're going to cut it right where the tip meets the flat, and cut that off, and that goes in with your stock. So this is white meat. It's going to go in there. Here's the other wing. I give a cut to expose the joint. Here's the joint. Here's the top of the wing. Here's where it attaches to the carcass, and then I just cut it right off. Once again, take the wing. All right. So the wings are gone. So next, I want to remove the leg quarters. The leg quarters include the drumstick and the thigh. So I'm going to cut right around here, keeping in mind that this little bulge right here is my oyster, and I want to keep some of that. So if I move this, you can actually see the bone right here. So I'm going to come down here around the oyster and right here. And then when I hit that joint, I'm going to stop, and I'll show you why. So I will usually give a little leaf cut like that. All right, so now I'm right here at the oyster. So, all right, so see, I cut around that oyster. So now I'm right there at the joint. There's the joint. So I usually will turn my knife over so I'm not cutting into it, to hold it just a little bit. And I bend this back until that joint pops out. You'll hear it pop out, you'll see it pop out. Here's the end of the thigh right there. So now you know exactly where to cut. You just go just like that, it comes right off. So now we have our leg quarter. So kind of like what we did with our wing, we're going to cut right between the two. So the way I like to do this is I'll set it standing up like this. And there's usually a little line of fat that runs right here. And if you hit it right, let me see. Ooh, I did. you go right through that joint and it cuts easy. If you go down and you're off one side or the other, then you run into bone and it won't go through. Don't keep trying to saw your way through. Move your knife to one side or another. You're not quite in between the two joints. So those two darks will go in there. This one. So again, here is my oyster on this side. So I'm going to cut around the oyster. And my knife can't go any further, so I know I'm right there where that joint is. I'll bend it back, pop it out. Here's the end of the thigh bone right here, and here's the, I guess, what you would call the hip on a chicken. So, and here's my oyster right here. I left a little bit of it here, but I got most of it. So I just detach that now. Same thing, I set it up like this. Here's my little line of fat right there, kind of right at the bottom of that valley. And see, I hit it just right. So this I'll throw in there. So you can always come back to these once you've boned all your chickens. And, you know, if I'm going to grill them, I'll trim them up a little bit. There's always going to be a little line of fat on there. And this one's the same. Actually, that one's not too bad. This chicken wasn't really too fatty. All right, so now what we're left with is a chicken with no legs and no wings. So at this point, this is a little hard for me to show you, but if you look down in there, you have ribs that come off the breast meat and they go down this way. And then you have ribs that come off the back and they go this way. So there's a line where these two ribs meet on either side. So I will take my boning knife, and right here where this fat is, this is the bottom of the breast. This is where the back meets, right there. So I go just like that. And then I'm going to look down into here and make sure I hit the same spot on the other side. So now I'm coming out the other side. And I'm looking down the little tunnel of the carcass, and now I can come up. You see? So here's the rib meat for the breast, here's the rib meat for the back. And I started my knife here and I just separated them right here along this line of cartilage on both sides. So this, I'll do it quick. All right, so now I just do that by hand. Just pull it out. So here's your back now all in one piece. So here are my oysters. I did a so-so job on the oysters. I didn't get quite deep enough. So I got about, I don't know, 65, 75% of them, but I did leave some in there. So this is going to go in our bin for our stock later on. So now here's what you have. You have the whole chicken breast. So this piece, you can actually season it and roast it whole if you like white meat chicken and your plan is to cook white meat bone-in chicken breast. When you leave it whole like this, it really does cook up nice. It stays very moist. It takes a little bit longer, but it's a good way to cook it. So I'm going to continue on with my 8-way cut because I have 6 so far. I have 2 wings, 2 legs, 2 thighs, and I have the entire breast. So this is where I break out the big boy. I don't use a fillet knife for this. This is called the keel bone, and this is what Julia was talking about, how it's soft on the smaller, younger birds. And as the bird gets older, here's where it stops calcifying, right here. As this bird grows and gets older, this soft part, this cartilage, turns into bone. And you can judge the age of the chicken by looking at where has this stopped. So right now, here's the calcification. So here's bone, there's a little line right here, and then this is cartilage. The older the bird gets, the longer this line will move down towards the end. older birds, laying hens, stewing hens, old roosters. This bone right here is solid. So that's how we know how young the bird is. For frying, you really want the smallest, youngest bird you can get. So my plan here is I'm going to split the bone-in breast. And I do this with my big knife so I can get some leverage on it. So I'll start here, and since this bone hasn't calcified all the way, it's really fairly easy to cut through. So I anchor my tip right here, and then I just, a quick jolt right there, right into it. Pull that out. So I've kind of started the line of where I'm going to cut. So I have my knife set, and then it's just all right. Here we go. So not so bad. So I would come back and trim this up just a little bit. And now you have your 8-way cut. So you have your 2 breasts, here are your wings, your legs, and your thighs. When I'm cooking at home, these pieces are really too big for a serving, I think. So when I'm cooking at home, oh, excuse me. No, I don't have corona. So when I'm cooking at home, I'll do this. I'll split it. When I get to the bone, it's the same quick jolt. So make sure you haven't shattered the bone and that there's no little bits of bone that have gotten lodged in the chicken itself. I can feel it right here. There's a little teeny bit right there, and I'm going to be taking that out. There it is. So I'll put this in with my white meat, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is an 8-way chicken.